Greetings, everyone. My name is Gospel Edughaen, and I'll be giving a presentation on my MSc research on the title Social Dynamics Associated with Implementing Mother, Baby, and Tricot Participatory Trials on Selected Cassava Varieties in Nigeria. So I'll be giving a brief introduction on what the study was, how the study was carried out. Looking at cassava being a major staple crop that is used by over 800 million people globally, is also a staple crop in Nigeria, which is also significant in the people's livelihood, food security, and also research successes and stories. Cassava breeding started early in the 1970s due to the breakout of several diseases, and cassava breeders have also used some techniques, which is also known as a participatory varietal selection, to obtain results or the feedback from farmers. And this study focused on the mother baby trials and that of the tricot techniques, which also exposes farmers to a range of varieties and also enables them to also be actively participating in these approaches. And this is the structure of the mother baby trials and that of the tricot trials, which has also been incorporated by IITA and NRCRI, which has the mandate for varietal development and release in Nigeria. So the baby trials comprises of about 23 cassava varieties, so that of Imo, while that of Oshun, we had about 21 cassava varieties, which comprises of both the local checks, those that are also locally grown, that are also known by farmers, those that are also used by the farmers, and it was actually managed by the research institute. So we have about 2 mother trials, while the baby trials were subset of the varieties that was planted in the mother trials. So farmers were able to evaluate, manage about 5 varieties, which comprises of 3 varieties that were also given, that was randomly assigned with their locally preferred cassava variety, and a check, which was TMB 419. For that of the tricot trials, farmers was given 3 varieties known as A, B, C, and they also planted the 4th variety, which is also known as the local variety. So for the tricot variety, tricot approach, the entire process is being managed by CliMob, which does the randomization and signing these cassava varieties. Like in the first phase, IIT and NRCRI used about 30 cassava varieties, which was randomly assigned to those farmers. So a particular farmer, farmer 1 might have ABC. Farmer 2, the varieties that farmer 2 also has, the A will also be different. So this is done by the CliMob. So data collection and the analysis, everything is managed by CliMob. And as you can also see, a farmer evaluating these cassava varieties on this farm. So why is it important to actually evaluate the social dynamics that comes with those previous trials, which has also been noted by TLA, that adoption can actually be hampered by just an undesirable trait, even by whether the male or the female, and this can actually be managed through prolonged breeding. And also, it is essential to maximize the benefits that those participants or farmers also derive from participating in those trials. And it is important that timely research is conducted to show how those dynamics unfold, and also not just on the lives of farmers, but also their livelihood and also on all the communities used. So the specific objective of this study is to actually investigate the extent of the spread of these cassava varieties among the trial participants to other farmers. So the second categories are known as the secondary beneficiaries, and also to identify the factors enabling the replanting and sharing of these cassava varieties among trial participants to secondary beneficiaries. We also looked at to determine the difference in sharing and also the use of these cassava varieties among those trials, and to also identify the social networks that these cassava varieties also spread through, taking account the gender dimension. Also to also identify the social benefits derived and the implication of those trials on participants, and lastly, to assess the varieties that was diffused as claimed by the beneficiaries. I'll be looking at the methodology and the results in this section. So the study area was Oshun and Imo, based on the location where mother baby trials was conducted. This was as a result of the predominance due to the selection of by IITA and NROCROI, like I also mentioned. So multi-stage sampling was used. So first visiting to see those selected farm variety locations, those communities. We have about 11 communities. So overall, we had about 320 locations that tricot was used. So we had to select, okay, out of the for that of Oshun and Imo, so we had about 80. So we had to select out of those communities. So we had about 11 communities in total. And so the first stage was to visit this trial participant to see what is going. Then we were able to select the secondary beneficiaries, which were those that have also gotten access to these cassava varieties. Data collection was through individual interviews and also phone conversations for those secondary beneficiaries that were not also around during these visitations, and those that are also outside the communities and outside the state due to also the time frame of the study. We also visited the farms of these trial participants and some of the secondary beneficiaries to also see what is going on, the cassava varieties that they also have as claimed, and leaf samples were also collected. So the quote was content analysis was used for the analysis of which they also generated codes. Descriptive analysis was also used frequency count, percentages, and social network analysis, which also shows how those networks are also among farmers, looking at the ties, the nodes, and we use the directional analysis. Also, we also looked at the inferential analysis t-test to show the difference between the use of those trials among the participants. So the key findings from these studies is that trial participants are not just only replanting these cassava varieties, but they are also sharing it among other cassava varieties, not just within the state, but also outside the states and outside their communities. And what is driving this cassava variety, the spread of these cassava varieties, are because of the trait preferences. So farmers acknowledge that they like the trait preferences, and the medium at which these cassava varieties are spreading are through farm visits and gifting. So majority of them gave at these cassava varieties freely. And it's also noted that the rate at which these cassava varieties are also being replanted among trial participants is that majority of them replanted 3 varieties, like for the tricot, also the MBT that had 5 varieties. So they were replanting, most of them replanted 3 of these cassava varieties. I'm looking at the difference in use among the trial and the baby trials. So it was also shown that the production has also increased, but it was not statistically different for that of the baby trials. And it was also noted that the trial participants were also the major source by which this secondary beneficiary gained access to these newly bred cassava varieties. And also we also documented the third categories of those which was also shown in this these communities on the screen. So the extent at which these cassava varieties has also spread among those regions is that it also shows that out of the 59 trial participants that was interviewed, we have about 273 cassava varieties that have also gained access to these cassava varieties. Out of those 273, we were able to interview 61 out of the secondary beneficiaries, and we were able to note that about 180 cassava farmers, which is the third category, has gotten access to this cassava variety. So all over, in total, we had about 392 cassava varieties that have gained access, which shows that farmers are actively spreading these cassava varieties within the states, outside the communities, and also outside the regions. Like those study was carried out in the southwest and the southeast, but we also noted that it has also gone to the south, looking at Edo State. So looking at the social network that this cassava variety is also spread through for that of the baby trial, it was also noted looking at the one-directional sociogram that a woman had the highest number, so she had about 15 connections, so 15 secondary beneficiaries has gotten cassava varieties from her, and we categorized them into social grouping, looking at farmers group, market association, and others. So the others comprises of age group, the church group, political groups, and the likes. So it's also noted in the result that those that had about 3 was also the highest, looking at the secondary beneficiaries as 85.1% in this network. Also looking at that of the tricot, it was also noted that a man had the highest number of connections. So particular tricot participant has given this cassava varieties to about 25 secondary beneficiaries. And this was also noted across both baby and tricot participants that due to their involvement in several social groups and their leadership roles, this also contributed to the spread of these cassava varieties among the farmers in and outside these communities. We'll also categorize the social benefits and looking at the experience from the in-depth interviews with trial participants. We were able to also get this result showing that farmers were able to actually share their stories, the benefit they also had, and from the teams, we had personal development. A lot of them, like for the women, we had 14 one and the like. So sharing that it actually was a learning platform from them. They've also changed the way they also plant their farming skills, the way they also like somebody able to share. It's not actually good to cut your stems when they are not yet due for harvest. So a lot of them was able to share, especially that of the leaders, the farmers, the lead farmers. So those are those that always collect the data from the other trial participant. They also talked about their leadership skills, how they also be closer to authorities in the community, how they also gain respect just by sharing, just by associating with this research institute. And the benefit was also paramount on their livelihood. They also acknowledge the fact that they've also gotten access to newly bred cassava varieties, talked about the high yield, how the harvest is also better, increase their income, and also exposure. One of them acknowledged how she was able to use the plane to travel to Abuja for the first time because of the conference, and she acknowledged the fact that she loved the entire experience. So it also played out on the family, food availability, and we also looked at a particular tricot participant that said he was able to also learn how to make a particular Ghanaian product called Banku. So not just the fufu, some of them also acknowledge the fact that they've also changed their diet, like a particular respondent that also said that it's not actually good for his eyes, so it eats more of amala. So they just prioritize the cassava varieties that is actually good and that actually works best for them. So I've seen in this picture, you said this woman was so eager to show me a cassava farm, although she didn't harvest, but she just felt like, let me show you the roots, how it is performing. And the other baby trial also talked about how she has also collaborated with the local authorities and how they've expanded the cooperative society to also market majority of this product in 5 kg. So in conclusion, those trials has contributed to highlighting farmers by diverse cassava varieties and also establishing new and improving existing relationship. Most farmers, they just like, I gave it to this particular farmer, we are not neighbors, we are not friends, we are close. And both men and women also contributed in the dissemination of these cassava varieties. And it was also noted that women spread more of these cassava varieties in the Southwest, while men promoted more of these cassava varieties in the Southwest. Women spread more in the Southeast, men in the Southwest, and about 392 secondary and tertiary beneficiaries has gotten access from these cassava varieties from just 59 trial participants that was interviewed in the study. And it also showed that former seed system, the extension agency, the NGOs, they had little or no, they had low involvement in regularizing the informal system of spreading these cassava varieties. The recommendation from the study is that breeding initiatives should continue to prioritize trade, just like men and women was also happy, like these cassava varieties are actually demand-led breeding, that they are actually considering their preference according to each of those regions. So it is important that breeding initiatives should prioritize this to have the highest social impact. And also, it's also good to give feedback not just to farmers that are that are trial participants, but other farmers that also want to learn about this newly bred cassava varieties. Maybe they should campaign like an outreach or a program that can also enlighten farmers, educate farmers, because most of the trial participants, even the secondary beneficiaries, make mention of, I would love to learn, I'm learning from this trial participant, I'm teaching this. So a majority of them emphasized on recommending expanding the scope or the size of those trials, also to ensure that farmer has access to improve cassava varieties, because we can see that the low involvement of trial of those former seed systems were actually active or was actually prioritized in these regions. And lastly, to encourage the use of semi-informal networks, which can actually foster farmer-to-farmer knowledge. We're also looking at other cooperatives, farmers cooperative, farmers group that can actually also share the information among this farmer to promote varietal development and adoption. Thank you so much. I want to thank Bill Gates, Bill and Melina Gates. I want to thank 1000 Farms for this opportunity for sponsoring my research. And I also want to give a big thanks to IITA and NRCRI and the University of Ibadan. Thank you so much for listening.
Out loud?
Okay. Yeah. What might be the possible reasons of the different results between the further baby trials and the tricot trials? Secondly, what activities was organized to foster the knowledge transfer between farmers? Okay, so for the first question, what might actually be the reason was because it was also an imbalanced sampling. So we had more of the tricot participants because of the relative advantage of the trial design. So I think that was one of the things that also affected the result for the baby trials. Okay, the activities that are also be conducted to foster the knowledge between farmers are, okay, during the evaluations, they also prioritize that, like farmers also learned, even during each of the evaluation time moments, during like 3 months evaluation, during harvest. So those were some of the activities that also fostered the knowledge transfer between farmers. Another thing that after the trial also ended, most of these trial participants also shared the knowledge in the social grouping. So especially those that are also leaders, those that also have some other positions with high relevance in the communities. So when they come to their farms, they also show them, I like the leaves of those cassava varieties, I like the stems. So they also teach them on their farms. So these are just some of the mediums that was also highlighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Gospel. If at all possible, while we wait for another question, maybe you can type in the answer. We are 5 minutes away from the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for joining. Again, this was the very first session of our webinar series. Today with Gospel Edughaen, who gave us a presentation on her master's thesis on social dynamics associated with implementing mother-baby and tricot participatory trials on selected cassava varieties in Nigeria. Gospel, another question. Have you published your results?
No, I've not, but I'm working on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gospel. There's also Jacob, who raised his hand for a question.
Yes, thanks, Chris. Yeah. Hey, Gospel. I have a question. You did the research also at the university as your master thesis, and also at IITA. What
Yes.
was the response from the university? Is there interest in the method and also teaching it to other students, for example? What do they think about this from a university perspective?
Yeah, okay. I remember my seminar presentation. So before I went to the feed, it was like, what is baby trial? What is mother? So it was actually an interactive section. So I had to break it down, teach, and the lecturers, they were so happy to actually see, okay, this is, they just know about cassava breeding, but they do not actually know what we do because it was actually a time to also learn to, and they also share their insights on, okay, you can do it as a mixed method, you can actually do it this way. And when I also gave my presentation, when I came back from the feed, it was also well acknowledged. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gospel. Another question from David Whittaker. Did knowledge transfer happen mostly between farmers directly, or did farmers' unions, associations play a role?
Okay, that's a good one. I think both of them, yeah, the unions also played a role, although some of the respondents, they do not belong to associations. Most of the trial participants, like some also mentioned, they just come to my farm. So they come to visit me at home. We also meet at the marketplaces. So, but some of them also like, so it was in both ways. So directly coming to the farms, also um, sharing this knowledge in their farm, the social grouping. So both played a vital role in this dissemination of cassava varieties.
Thank you, Gospel, and thank you, David, for the question. The last one, probably. What kind of input support mechanism would help to continue the adoption of would you mind the adoption of tricot, I guess?
Is it in the? It's not in the Q&A.
No, it's on the chat.
Okay.
So what kind of
Okay.
input support mechanism would help to continue the adoption of tricot, I assume?
I think it's the adoption of the cassava varieties. Okay, like I also mentioned the results, the trait preferences. So breeding initiatives should continue to prioritize those traits. And also a lot of them was also demanded, did you come with cassava varieties? We need more of the stems. And I was like, I will do my best to see what I can do. So a lot of farmers are multiplying the stems. One of them was like, I didn't give anyone till the second or the third year. So I had to multiply the stems on my farm. So what will also continue to increase the adoption rate is to prioritize the traits preferences according to across those regions, and also to give farmers more seeds to actually to cultivate and also increase their livelihood. Yeah.
Thank you, Gospel. And one final question before we end this session is, what were the selection criteria to select the regions and the farmers?
Yeah, okay. The selection criteria was based on those locations that IITA and NROCROI worked with. For that of IMO, we had both baby trials and tricot trials, although it was several locations. So that was the reason, due to the scope of the time duration of my study, MSc, so I had to focus on just like 4. So out of the 8 communities that tricot was conducted in IMO, so I had to like just select 3, but that of Oshun I had to select 4, but they were also balanced, so 40, and the baby trial, so I worked with the entire 2020, but majority of them were not available due to the long time frame, so that was what I did.
All right, thank you, Gospel. So now we have reached the end of our first webinar. If you want to have more information about our future webinars, you can visit our site. You can also follow us on social media. And most importantly, you can join our community on community.1000farms.net, where we can keep on sending our questions and answer on the webinars. on all of the presentations surrounding tricot. You will have any updates with regards to CleanUp, and all of the information that you need or that you might want to receive. We will also share the presentations, and through our social media and the website, we will also give you more information about the next webinars. Thank you very much, everyone. This webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube, where you can also watch this webinar in the coming days. So again, thank you very much for joining, and we hope to have you on our next webinar happening in 2 weeks from now. More information on that very shortly. Have a great afternoon and see you soon. Bye-bye.